Hey there, Space Monkeys. Hope you're all doing well. My name's Elijah, and I'm here today with a review of A44's Ashen. It's a Souls-like, Souls-born, trudge through gothic ruins and slaughter everything that moves kind of game, but it's got a little bit more heart than you might suspect. Before we jump into the review, please make sure you leave a like, share with a friend, and leave a comment if you liked the video. And if you have any thoughts about Ashen, be sure to let us know so that we can have a chat about it. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in.
Among the stars, the Ashen fly. Beneath, the 9 realms move among the Tree of Worlds' many branches. Proudly standing upon the darkness, its roots delving into caverns where light will never venture. It was when a single great Ashen flew down to rest upon her boughs that the light woke among the realms. After eons, the great Ashen grew weak with age and fell from the Tree of Worlds, resting upon the plains of darkness, drawing what few breaths remained. In the throes of death, the light dimmed, and the Ashen's final 3 breaths became the 3 golden ages of light.
Dark Souls has spawned a series of games that were always difficult for the sake of being difficult. What tends to make the Souls-like genre punishing is the reliance on timing and animation priority. Very rarely can animations be cancelled, which leads to the combat of such games feeling slow and tactical. The general lack of mobility crossed with stamina management and limited heals creates an atmosphere of punishment that intends to come for the player and forces them to adapt or die. This gothic element also tends to show itself in the bizarre characters, dialogue, and architecture of these games. The player will often trek through dead-end ruins of castles, shanty towns, and plague lands on their journey, never quite knowing if their toiling is worth anything at all. These games often feature some sort of curse, lending to a feeling of a tyrannical past constantly nipping at their heels. While Ashen does have a lot of this, its opening moments are immediately laced with a bright and shining hope. Where many Souls-like games drown the player in misery and undeath, Ashen is almost the antithesis to the Dark Souls narrative. It thrives in telling a story of rebuilding a society, harnessing the light to cast out the remains of the darkness, and prevent the cycle of the Ashen from occurring again. And while the story begins in darkness, it is immediately shattered so that the player character can get to work setting history straight. Ashen immediately sets itself apart with the existence of a dedicated narrative structure. The writers at A44 obviously had a story they wanted to tell, and they wasted no time making sure the player knows that. Within a few minutes, the groundwork is laid, and the player character sets off with their companion Yokel to reclaim Vagrant's Rest from a band of crazed nomads. With the town reclaimed, the most charming part of Ashen comes to light. With each successful quest completion and new citizen added to the town, it grows little by little. It gives the feeling of base management without any of the menu surfing and resource management required. In fact, this system gave a sense of tactile feedback for the player character's exploits in the wild. The big question at the heart of games like this is whether the actions of the player are good or evil, and often there is no true answer when the world is ruled by undeath. This is what sets up the heart of the conflict in Ashen. When the world fell into darkness, the creatures who worshipped the dark moved through the inky blackness to ensure their continued existence once the Ashen rebirthed. They were poised to make the world their own at the outset, but the protectors of the world remembered the plans made in the dark and now seek to foil them. What the player does is inherently good, and it was deeply refreshing to play a game brimming with hope for the future of humanity. While Ashen is demonstrably easier than Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Nioh, or even Sekiro, it still holds the core of punishing combat. And for better or worse, the AI is not very smart, which meant from time to time the game felt laughably easy. Often while playing Dark Souls 3 in college, it was necessary to request help from strangers to make my way through levels. But with Ashen, having an AI partner meant that I felt like I always had help, which was nice at first. But until about 5 hours in, when the combat flow really clicked for me, my AI partners would solo entire mobs. The one saving grace of the combat in this game comes down to the bosses. Their movements and attack strings are rarely punishing, and while they can be long affairs, they never feel designed to completely decimate the player. This is largely because Ashen has a story to tell, and this keeps the difficulty fair. While the story of Ashen isn't going to win awards, I think it's a testament to the writing that I kept pushing through when I felt stuck. I wanted to learn the fate of Vagrant's Rest and its citizens. I wanted to see the player character succeed in locating the Ashen and setting the world right. Ashen is designed to reward the player for digging into optional side quests. In order to progress the main quest, the player will have to interact once or twice with the characters who give them side quests. The main quest is fairly linear outside of helping the different citizens of Vagrant's Rest. However, these side quests do bring the player to some wonderful sights in some of the far corners of each area. This was ultimately refreshing as a player because it felt like the developers cared enough about the game that they wanted to show the players what they had made. So I still need to play through the DLC for Ashen, but the base game is definitely worth experiencing. I think that it properly built on the foundations set by Dark Souls, and took a step in advancing the genre by presenting a world that still has hope. I think for gamers who are looking for a challenge, but also care a little bit more about storytelling than just raw gameplay, they should pay the world of Ashen a visit. It's far more forgiving than other Souls-likes, and it's clear that it cares about its players and the story it wants to tell them.